Hi everyone, my name is Paul Stanley, and today my group and I will present a case study on Capital One's migration to AWS. This case highlights how a major financial institution transitions from on premises data center to a full cloud based infrastructure. Capital One is one of the largest and most influential financial institutions in the United States. Like many large companies, Capital One faced increasing challenges with their on-premises IT infrastructure. Their legacy data centers were becoming expensive to maintain, and they struggled with scalability limitation and security concerns. To keep up with the growing demands of digital banking, they decided to make a move migrating entirely to AWS. Today we'll dive into how Capital One made this transition, the technologies they adopted, the hurdles they had to overcome, and ultimately, the benefits they reaped from this decision. So, Capital One was founded in 1994 and quickly established itself as a forward-thinking company in the financial service sector. They are particularly known for their digital-first approach, which helped them to stay competitive in the fast-evolving banking industry. However, with over 50,000 employees and millions of customers, managing their IT infrastructure became increasingly challenging. The traditional on-premises approach was simply no longer sustainable because it was so very costly and inefficient. That's when they realized they needed to make a change, like moving their entire infrastructure to AWS, where they could take advantage of the cloud's flexibility and security, and most importantly, the cost effectiveness.
Thank you, Paul. We are overviewing the project of Capital One, which shifted to AWS Cloud. Before the project, they had 8 on-premises data centers having high cost, scalability limits, and more of the security concern. After they fully migrate to AWS Cloud, they can access faster deployment with a lower cost and enhanced security. Here are some reasons we found why they migrated to AWS Cloud, like a scalability, cost saving, security and compliance, innovation and agility. Now with the limitless scalability where they can expand themselves as per requirement without any additional cost, which eliminate hardware and maintenance cost to them. Also they can access faster deployment with the improved customer experience. In this slide, we are going to discuss some of the key AWS services that Capital One used. For compute, they have used Amazon EC2, and in storage, they have used Amazon S3. And for the security, they have used AWS IAM and AWS KMS. And for serverless computing, they have used AWS Lambda. For the compute, EC2, which we call Elastic Compute Cloud, that provide resizable virtual server in the cloud, allowing users to run application with a scalable computing power. And for the storage they have used Amazon S3, which offers an scalable object storage for storing and retrieving data from anywhere on the web. AWS Identity and Access Management, which we call AWS IAM, enables secure user authentication and authorization, while AWS Key Management Service KMS helps manage encryption key for the data protection. For the serverless computing, they have used AWS Lambda, which allow running code without provisioning or managing server, automating the cloud-based operation based on the trigger. And now I would like to hand over the presentation to the Saurav. Thank you.
After the key AWS service used by Capital One, we are going to know how Capital One migrated to AWS step by step. In this process, I'll break down the key phases and challenges that are used by Capital One to migrate to AWS. So there were four phases: assessment and planning, application and data migration, security and implementation, and lastly, full transition. So Moving on to assessment and planning from the first, Capital One moved to AWS in a structured way. First, they look at their existing system to see what needed to be migrated. Then, instead of moving everything at once, they took a step-by-step approach using a hybrid cloud system. They used AWS services like Lambda, S3, and EC2 to improve performance. And lastly, they trained their teams to handle cloud resources and make sure everything works smoothly with minimal issues. The challenges Capital One faced during migration was their high initial costs, skill gaps, and downtime risk. The migration wasn't easy. Security and compliance were major concern because they deal with sensitive financial data. Another challenge was moving huge amount of data while keeping everything running smoothly. Also, some of their older system weren't compatible with AWS, so they had to rebuild certain application with careful planning and help from AWS experts. They found solutions and made the transition successful. Overall, looking to the conclusion, Capital One migration to AWS was a big move that improved their efficiency and security. While they faced challenges like security concern, data migration issues, and legacy system compatibility, they overcame them through proper planning and teamwork. Their successful migration shows how business can benefit from cloud technology with the right strategy.
So, hi everyone, today I'll be discussing why Capital One's cloud migration to AWS was a groundbreaking move, highlighting the key gains they achieved and why this case was chosen over others. So, Capital One's migration to AWS was a game changer, providing numerous advantages over traditional on premise infrastructures. So, by moving to the cloud, they achieved a 50% reduction in IT costs, eliminating the need for data centers maintenance. Their banking services now deploy faster than ever, reducing wait times from months to minutes. Also, the security and compliance were also strengthened thanks to their real-time monitoring and threat protection. Additionally, AWS improved sustainability, reducing Capital One's energy consumption and carbon footprints. So this case was chosen over other because it represents a full-scale cloud migration. Unlike Amazon's Virginia data centers, which only underwent infrastructure upgrades, similarly, small banks that transitioned to the cloud lacked the large-scale impact and complete transformation that Capital One achieved. By being the first major US bank to fully adopt AWS Capital One set a new standards for financial institutions, demonstrating the power of cloud computing in enhancing security, efficiency, and cost effectiveness. So, in summary, Capital One's cloud migration brought cost saving, enhanced security, and sustainability, making it a prime example of a successful large scale digital transformation. Their case was chosen because of its full cloud adoption, setting a new benchmark in financial sector. So thank you. That was my time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kushdeep, and today I would like to represent the conclusion part and the key takeaway points. Thank you, team members, for doing the previous slides. Now I will do the conclusion. So, the conclusion for this presentation is the Capital One successfully modernized its IT infrastructure like the servers, modems, and the other parts. The migration led to cost saving and efficiency and enhanced security. This case highlights why the adoption is necessary for enterprises. And this presentation is also main emphasizes on the why the cloud computing is very necessary thing for the big enterprises to survive in. Going forward with the references that we have used, the first one was the migration from the data center to AWS, and the second is the Capital One Enterprises case study from AWS, and the third one is on-demand infrastructure on the AWS help Capital One moves faster than ever from Capital One case study. And the fourth and the last one is the Capital One, the the transformation enables improved eligibility and the innovation available at AWS. And thank you, and have a nice day.